it means peaceful. We're not trying to use weapons. Whoever's trying, all these news reporters, all these news outlets saying civil war is going to, no civil war is going to start. We've started the protest peacefully. We are going to finish it peacefully. So far, we've already overthrown 2 different presidents in less than 24 hours. You think this is going to affect us? No, but we're asking you to raise awareness because there is no internet in Sudan. The internet has been cut in Sudan. That is why we're asking you to raise awareness. So to all the other Sudanese influence with very large platforms who are not doing anything to try and promote and say anything about what's going on in Sudan, you do not have to be a politician. You do not have to be Sudanese. All you have to be is human. When I'm here telling you there is a 6-year-old who got raped by 10 men inside a mosque on the day of Eid. Imagine in your Eid clothes. In your Eid flipping clothes. And that's why we are so angry. That's why everyone is so consumed by rage and all of this, but we're still keeping it peaceful. Keep that in mind. Yes, we know that Syria is going through things. Yes, we know that Yemen is going through things. Yes, we know that Saudi Arabia is going through things. But we can prevent what is happening if you guys raise awareness. If we stop it from the beginning and you guys help us to raise awareness and the internet gets put back on in Sudan. If the internet was on, do you know what you would see? You would see bodies being thrown into the Nile. You would hear about rape victims. You would hear about men, grown men who got raped in front of their families. And you're here telling me you don't want to raise awareness. You don't want to press a button. You want to tell me, oh, this is going on in this country and this is... Well, sorry to them. We prayed for them when they had their things going on. We still continue to pray for them. We are not bad people. We do not deserve what is happening. And
So over the course of a few days, I've been seeing online about what's going on in Sudan. Thank you all of you guys who have reached out to me and asked me to talk about this. It was something that I was actually waiting to get more information for and something that I was hoping to see widely spread across the news. But since that's not happening, I'm just going to pretty much relay the information that I've been receiving so far via Instagram and Twitter. Also want to warn you guys beforehand, some of the contents in this video might trigger some audiences.
Sudanese authorities have blocked access to popular social media platforms used to organize and broadcast nationwide anti-government protests triggered by an economic crisis. Sudan has been rocked by near-daily demonstrations over the past 2 weeks, with protesters calling on President Omar al-Bashir, who took power in 1989, to step down. The internet has become a key information battleground for the Northeast African country, whose government tightly controls traditional media. The head of Sudan's National Intelligence and Security Services, Salah Abdallah, told a news conference on December 21 that, quote, there was a discussion in the government about blocking social media sites, end of quote. Internet users in the country say Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp have only been possible through the use of virtual private network. About 13 million of Sudan's 40 million people use the internet.
A raid at dawn, when the protesters least expected it. Sudan's rapid support forces and the police moved in. Shots were fired as unarmed protesters dived for cover. For more than 2 months, they had protected their sit-in outside the army headquarters, the symbol of their defiance and their revolution. But for Sudan's military junta, it represented a threat.
The reason why the protesters gathered in front of the army base is because when a live bullet is being shot in the perimeter of the army base, the army has the right to defend those who are in front of it, who are the civilians. But now we have been shot right in front of the army and the army did nothing. By the rapid police forces and the police.
Protesters accused Sudan's notorious rapid support forces, headed by General Hemeti, of ordering the violent crackdown. He's the deputy leader of the Transitional Council that has been in charge since Omar al-Bashir was deposed in April. 24 hours earlier, he was filmed making a veiled threat to protesters who want to see civilian rule.
We must firmly stand up to the ongoing chaos and build a true state. As for the civil state, the protesters are demanding to be truly a civil rule with no individuals above it. It must be built on the rule of law. It must be ruled by law, and no one is above the law. If this chaos continues, it won't be a civil state, it will be anarchy.
But Sudan's protesters, who've seen the bloodshed during Bashir's era not too long ago, are prepared for a long fight. Their calls for civilian government has morphed into the removal of the entire military leadership. The protest leaders are calling for a mass civil disobedience movement across the country. Talks between the military junta and protest leaders were suspended 2 weeks ago, after the two sides failed to agree on who will lead during the transitional period. The military council says if no progress is made, it will call elections before the end of the year, a move rejected by the opposition.
Former president of Sudan, Omar al-Bashir, was the president for the last 30 years. However, in April of 2019, demonstrators demanded that the army literally force Bashir to leave, and a few days later, he was overthrown. Since he has been overthrown, Sudan has been controlled by a military council, and the military and the protesters came to an agreement on a 3-year period to basically allow everything that the former president had corrupt ties to be dissembled. The agreement was that during this 3-year period, the country will be under civilian rule. However, during one of the many peaceful protests in Sudan, security forces started shooting innocent protesters that were standing outside of the military headquarters. They decided to somehow do away with the 3-year period agreement and said new elections will take place in 9 months. Now, this news about Sudan is very heartbreaking, to say the least. Like, people are literally just protesting. They want a better life and better conditions for their families, for their children, and for their countries. Women, men, and children are being raped. People are being shot dead. People are being abducted and never seen again. Thousands are missing. People are being thrown into the Nile River. What the fuck? Like this is 2019, and many African leaders are just freaking corrupt. They're disgusting. This is not the first time that the government has actually stopped internet access so that the rest of the world doesn't know about it. I also found it very strange that even maybe neighboring African nations didn't speak up about this, but I know that some of them are in cahoots. Saudi Arabia, for example, is always a common element in many of these atrocities.
Sudan's revolution is descending into chaos. The country's military council, left to oversee a transition to civil rule, looks to be trying to seize control by arresting opposition members and activists, shutting down the internet, and killing more than 100 unarmed protesters and wounding hundreds. And it's all being done with the support of Egypt, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia.
After seeing that news clip, I knew that some of my suspicions had to be right, and I found this article. By the way, all the articles and all the television clips that I have in this video will be in the description box, so you guys can do further research on your own. So this article states Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and UAE may have green-lighted Sudanese massacre. Hemeti is Sudan's brutal militia commander who's basically aiming to crush the revolution. Many people have legitimate reasons to believe that unless he got the green light from his regional allies, he would not have been able to commit such a crime. Many Sudanese protesters and experts believe that the authoritarian countries do not want to see a successful democracy installed in Sudan, and thus this was the beginning of sabotaging Sudanese people's uprising and a call for rule by the people. And of course, money is the name of the game. I'm actually going to do a separate video if you guys are interested. I can do a video on corrupt Asian nations and their influence on African nations. But back to the topic, Saudi Arabia and the UAE jointly pledged $3 billion worth of aid to the Sudanese military council. That's $3 billion to the military, not the people. The military. According to this article, Saudis and Emirates usually use the money to bribe Arab politicians in the region. The bribes guarantee that receiving countries or politicians will do exactly what they want them to do, which is to repress their own people and preserve authoritarian regimes. Supporting this theory is the fact that after the announcement of the $3 billion aid package, Sudan's military council suspended talks with the opposition and insisted that protesters remove the barricades in front of the military headquarters. That's when all hell broke loose. I know it's so hard for many of us in the Western world to even fathom, what life is like in these third world countries. And sometimes situations like this, it just makes my everyday issues just seem so small. But I hate that I have to go to Instagram to find out what's going on in Sudan, to find out what's going on in Africa. But let something happen in Paris. Let something happen in, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. The point is, the most important point is that now we know So now that we know, we all have to come together and figure out what the hell can we do to help. I'm searching high and low for legitimate ways to help these people. I don't want to promote anything, especially when it comes to money, if it's not 100% legitimate. I will be posting all the information that I get on my Instagram, so be sure to follow me on my Instagram page at IAM_Eloho so that you can stay up to date on what's going on. Let's keep our brothers and sisters in our prayers. They do not deserve this. No one deserves this. And let's continue to stay active in the fight to love and protect one another. Thumbs up this video. Please share it with someone who has no idea what's going on. And I'll see you at the next one. Thank you.